Today, we'll cover the third and last component of the exposure triangle, ISO. Let's look at how we can eliminate camera noise like what you're seeing right now. Let's go. Welcome back to Apic Studio, I'm Albert. In the last two episodes, we've covered aperture and shutter speed. You can find these two videos in a link below if you haven't seen them already. Subscribe to our channel for more camera tutorials. Today we're looking at ISO. ISO! ISO. 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 Back in the film era, the ISO value is determined by the film you use. The higher the ISO value, the more sensitive the film is to light. Now that we live in a digital world, the ISO setting is adopted by digital cameras. And increasing ISO means the camera sensor is more sensitive to light. We won't go into the details of how the sensor picks up light signals today. All we need to know is, as we increase ISO, the light signal is amplified, thus increasing the overall exposure and making the image brighter. If ISO is so powerful, why can't we just keep boosting it up to combat all low light situations? With great power comes great responsibility.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
With great power comes a huge side effect. That is, noise. Not the noise that your annoying neighbor makes, but this kind of noise. Camera noise. As you mindlessly dial in that high ISO, your camera is working extra hard to process the light signal that it receives. Due to the physical limitation of an amplifier, boosting the gain will also boost the noise level, unfortunately, resulting in these small annoying dots everywhere in the image. To reduce high ISO noise, we'll need to use as low of an ISO as possible. If you know what a Game Boy is, then you might also recall how a TV used to do this when it loses signal. In camera terms, light is a signal, and without sufficient lighting, your camera will need to kick itself into turbo boost in order to properly expose an image. Unfortunately, noise will also kick in. That is why in most shooting scenarios, we'll first try to open up the aperture or slow down shutter speed before we boost up the ISO. If you have no idea of what I just said, well, maybe you should go back and first check out the previous two episodes. We gotta let you know that different cameras handle high ISO differently. When you see a low light test in a camera review, the high ISO noise control is exactly what's being measured. For example, our partner Jerry's Sony a7S II is famous for its low light performance, turning nights into days. Come on. Oh, also, if you speak Chinese, check out Jerry's channel for the same series in Mandarin. We won't go into any specific camera comparison today, but in general, full-frame sensors perform better in low light than smaller sensors like APS-C or Micro Four Thirds. And that is all you need to know about ISO. Here's a summary. First, ISO changes the sensor sensitivity. The higher the ISO, the brighter the image. Second, the higher the ISO, the more digital noise there is. Third, unlike aperture and shutter speed, we don't usually use high ISO as an expression of creative style. Instead, we try to keep ISO as low as possible if we can increase the exposure using the other two components instead. Okay, that's all I have for today's episode. Hopefully you'll have a better understanding of ISO by now. In the next episode, we'll bring all three components of the exposure triangle into the mix and show you how they interact with each other. Let us know what other topics you would like to see. See you later!